We're good.
Now can I say funny things?
All the funny
Okay. So we're going to talk about intakes today and a new product that we're launching. I'm wearing our fancy new VelocityAP hoodie. If you're extra nice to Cassandra when she's processing your order, you might get one of these, but you got to be extra nice. Okay, this is something I know a lot of you have been waiting for quite a while. This is our outer intake airbox section for the Jaguar F-Pace SVR. A number of cool things about this, and we also just wanted to talk a little bit about why we tested it so much and what's important about testing and data and doing all the hard work. So, first of all, you want to have a look at the product. So, everybody wants to hear the supercharger whine, and you really need to remove a lot of the shrouding on the airbox in order to hear that. And typically what you'll see is people will just put a partition here, shove an air filter onto the end of the mass airflow sensor, and then they're done with it. There's a few problems with doing that on the F-Pace SVR. One of them is there are vents on the hood right here that when it rains or you wash the vehicle or water gets onto it, will drain right onto this spot. So that means if you have an open air filter here without a lid, it's going to drain onto the filter element. Eventually it's going to rust. Not great. Secondly, and this is something that we discovered because we have our own data logging system, and anytime that we're going to implement something on one of these vehicles, we check that data religiously. We tried putting a cone filter directly onto the end of this MAF, and we thought there might be some issues with that because we've experienced something similar with Aston Martin vehicles in the past. We were running into people that broke their airboxes, wanted to remove them, didn't want to pay for a new airbox because they were expensive, and we designed a kit that allowed you to clamp onto the mass airflow tube, mount that to the vehicle, and put a filter on the end. All hunky-dory. Until a little while later, we had one or two people starting to come out with mass airflow sensor codes. So what we realized is that if you put a cone filter directly onto the end of the MAF, very frequently that air that's coming in through the filter doesn't get straightened out and create laminar flow, which the mass airflow sensor needs. It needs nice, smooth airflow coming past it. And that's really, really critical for the way the vehicle runs, because on a modern vehicle like this, everything pretty much stems from air mass. The engine ECU needs to know how much air mass is coming into it in order to meter fuel correctly, and a whole bunch of other dominoes that fall from there related to how it requests load and so on. So this is really an important anchor for how the vehicle controls itself and controls the engine parameters. So since we thought that might be a problem, we decided to test it and put a filter on the end. And lo and behold, when we look at the data, it isn't metering air correctly, and it's often getting an imbalance between the two sides, which is one of the giveaways. So eventually we saw some DTC codes get thrown by that. You can drive around for a long, long time, and in some cases maybe never even get a code, never have anything pop up that tells you that it's wrong, but it's not until you start looking at those MAF signals and looking at your short-term and long-term fuel trims that you would actually see that. So that's why we do the R&D, and that's why we data log these things, so that we know that they're going to work properly. So a couple of key things that we did here. We've got this little silicone elbow on here. It's wire reinforced. One, that helps create a little bit of distance between the filter and between the MAF for that air to get straightened out. Yes, it's going around a corner, but that distance helps. And then secondly, we've got this inside there. So this is a miniature velocity stack. So you would see these on old race engines, Can-Am cars from the 70s, quite tall ones. But what this is actually doing is, because it's gradually tapering inwards, it's producing a venturi, and it's speeding up that air and helping to straighten it out. So this is also something critical that we incorporated into this kit to make sure that these mass airflow sensors are metering air correctly. So, other things to talk about. One of the common things that people will say about aftermarket intakes is that they don't work, that they're going to create a loss of power, and in some of the cases that's true. We've seen products, metal products for these vehicles, or poorly designed airbox replacement kits that probably will lose power. But one of the common complaints is they're going to suck in warm air from the engine bay. I have a friend who has been in the industry for a long time who often refers to these as warm air intakes. So, what have we done in this case? Well, you'll see that there's a hole here. So this section here replicates pretty accurately the majority of the factory airbox. Not just the OEM mounting points here, but also this ducting. So in the grill of an F-Pace SVR, you've got a little air intake here. This is pulling clean, cold air in just from above the radiator, and it's ducting that air into the airbox. We have retained that. So if you look at where our air filter sits, it is still ducting cold air directly onto the filter element. So we're going to maximize our potential from that. Now, yes, when you're sitting there idling, there is some air that's going to be coming from the engine bay, which is going to be warmed up. But realistically, the plastic airbox is going to heat up anyway, and it doesn't really create a very dramatic difference in what's coming into the engine. What's really important is that you're getting cold air blown onto the filter from outside, and we have retained that. The second thing that people often talk about is the fact that the factory airbox is sealed and that you have an air intake in front of the car is going to pressurize the intake system. Technically, this is true. But at the same time, if you actually look at the net effect of that, yeah, if you can do it, if you're an OEM, you want to have a sealed airbox, it makes sense. Get your cold air, try and pressurize it. That being said, if you look at a principle like Bernoulli's principle, and you look at how much pressure charging you can actually get, first of all, there's a lot of little twists and turns, narrowings in here for this air to get all the way from the front of the engine down here into the airbox, through the intake and into the engine. There's a lot of pressure loss in that system. But if you imagine you had a perfect situation, so sticking out the front of the car is a straight tube, and that straight tube runs directly to the intake on the top of the engine. How much pressure charging would you actually get? Rough back of a cigarette packet math, but if you're doing 100 miles an hour, you might get 0.2 psi of pressure charging from the intake, assuming that there's no pressure loss in the system. Now, on these JLR supercharged engines, they're running 8 to 10 psi stock, depending which one they are, and we go right up to 22 or 23 in our highest trim on the V6s and pretty close to that on the V8 with the Harrop kit. So the question is a 0.2 psi theoretical optimum really that impactful relative to all the other things? And I think that the answer is no. But that being said, if you have the opportunity to scoop cold air and to continue to optimize what the OEM set up, you should do it. So we have. Anyway, that's the kit. I hope you guys love it. We put a lot of time and energy into it. It took a little longer than we wanted to get it to market, but we wanted to make sure that we got it right, that it was functional, that it fit to OEM points, and it's nice and cool and carbon looking. So these are going on the website. They're available for pre-order soon. Follow us, and hopefully we can get you on the list.